How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Emnix Plays Path of Exile. There's like 5 days left. There's 5 days left until the start of the new league, and I'm panicking. I'm panicking. I don't think I need to get this character to maps because I need to test this thing out a little bit further. I don't know if it's ready or not. I really don't know. So, one thing I did notice last episode was our defenses were failing a little bit, and that's obviously not okay. I'm thinking we switch out our Grace aura, which is the aura that gives more evasion, with Determination, which gives more armor, because it kind of looked like I was dying to multiple small hits, and in theory armor is supposed to help with smaller hits, whereas evasion, I mean, evasion's kind of weird. Like, preferably you would want to have a little bit more evasion. Let's see how we do with armor. And then also, if possible, I would like to get a cast when damage taken setup going. And I bought the gems for it, but I don't have the slots. Essentially, what cast when damage taken support gem does is, if you take a certain amount of damage, it casts a supported skill, and the supported skill in this case is Steel Skin, and Steel Skin is essentially what's called a guard skill, and basically you get like a barrier, or some kind of defensive barrier for like a second or two after you take a certain amount of damage, and the idea is that it helps you with spiky damage. So say like you get hit a bunch of times and you go down to 30% HP. The guard skill will kind of help with that by giving you a little bit of immunity, so you can either get out of the fight, or you could pot up or anything like that. So that's one thing that I'm thinking we could try and fix. I'm already running a granite flask, which gives armor. The way we rolled this is a little weird though. Like, we rolled evasion. Maybe we want to roll armor on this thing, if possible. Obviously, it's hard to roll that. Avoid stuns. You know what? Even avoiding stuns would be good, because I do get stunned a lot due to having a small HP pool. So, and the way stun works is, the bigger the hit, or the bigger the percentage of your life that you're hit by, the bigger the stun. So if you have a small HP pool, especially if you're running something like we are, which is like energy shield life, that's sort of what we have going right now. It can cause problems because you could potentially get perma-stun. So last episode I noticed that I was dying to a few things, one being like a bunch of small hits, and the second one being essentially just getting stunned a lot and not being able to get out of, like, being surrounded, right? So it was two-part. Like, we were dying to a bunch of small hits, and we were dying to stuns. So it kind of compounded on each other, right? Someone would hit you once, you get stunned, and then it's a small hit, but because you got stunned, you can't get out of it, and then you continuously get hit, and that kills you. So hopefully the armor will mitigate how much damage we take, and then the stun immunity might help as well. It's not immune, but like, a chance to avoid stuns. Okay, we'll take this. Oh wait, no, Hollowed is not better. Sanctified is better right now, huh? Okay, otherwise, like, damage, we're looking pretty good against these guys. The setup we have going right now is pretty straightforward. You cast Frostbolt, and then you keep casting Ice Nova as it travels. I'm hoping that once we get to the new league, this mechanic would change a little bit, obviously, because we're going to use return projectile. So what's going to happen is, something like this could be useful. So what's going to happen is, like, you shoot out the Frostbolt, you keep casting Ice Nova, and if it's a boss, the assumption is this Frostbolt would return. Whereas right now, after a certain point in time, we need to cast Frostbolt again. Otherwise, you know, it gets too far away from us, and then the Ice Nova isn't hitting the intended target, right? Okay, okay, so I picked up these boots here with the intention of getting movement speed out of it. Don't have a good way of doing it. I'll try hitting it with essences and hope for the best. No, I did not hit movement speed. Well, I'm not running heralds anymore. I don't want to sacrifice movement speed, but let me see. Let's try doing this for now. We're gonna move slower, but this is gonna give me my guard skill. And if I'm having issues right now with defenses, I hopefully this will help a little bit, right? Okay, so after that, I can go around like this, or I could go down like this, because I want to pick up the power charges here. The only question is, do I want to sit around the outside of the passive tree, or do I want to sit around the inside? And I do want to go down at some point as well, though. It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. Avoid bleeding, avoid poison. Those are pretty good nodes too for defenses. We could start going into critical strike chance. That's not bad either. What about cold? No, the cold stuff isn't that relevant here anymore. And we got all the power charges stuff, right? And I picked up this power charge. So how many power charges am I at? 4? So obviously I could use more. Okay, so if I go down like this, 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and go like this and get power charges. Or I could do 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, and can get power charges this way. I actually think that's better. Yeah. I think that's better. I can go down here and I can pick up some life. Let's go with that. Do I have any intention of coming down here? I don't think so. Maybe I'll take Lethe Shade later, but that's about it. Okay, let's go this way then. I'm making like this weird loop, which is kind of sucky. Maybe in the future I would unspec the dexterity nodes, maybe. And then, yeah, I'm slower, which it actually feels terrible. Like, this is why you should try and get movement speed on your boots, because this feels like crap, but, whatever, it is what it is. Okay, and then cast 1 damage taken, level 38. So Steel Skin can be a lot higher level. And then there is a quest in this zone, the Broken Bridge. If you follow the road, you will get to the next zone, but you're gonna miss out on one of the quests here. So just make sure you pick up the Locket quest. I actually don't remember what the reward for it is, but I think it's a passive skill point, which means it's probably worth getting. Let me just see if I can find the friggin'... Okay, so leveling up is still fine. Now it's level 12, and then the way cast 1 damage taken works is it supports skill gems that are below level 38. So cast 1 damage taken is one of those weird gems where you have to be pretty careful about leveling it up, simply due to the fact that as the gem level of cast 1 damage taken gets higher, it's like the amount of damage you take gets higher too. So like this one triggers supported spells when you take 528 total damage, as you get a higher level, that number gets higher, and sometimes you don't necessarily want to get that number to be higher, right? So right now, for example, if I take 500 damage, which is like a third of my life, right? If I take 500 damage, it'll trigger the spell. Well, say you get to a point where it only triggers after you take 1400 damage, and it's like, oh, by the time I'm like 10% life, it'll trigger. I don't want that. I would rather it trigger every 500 damage, so that, you know, like it triggers more often, right? Or like, I don't want to be at 10% HP for this thing to trigger. I'm going to end up dying anyways. So you want to trigger it pretty early on. And a lot of that is like, there's no magical number. I like to just have cast when damage taken at around level 2 or 3 if I have like a low level character. And then your steel skin needs to be the appropriate level as well. Like it cannot be higher than level 38 in this case, because cast when damage taken, the way it works is it only triggers for skills under level 38, right? Okay, so I think I'm going to take a Jade Flask. That'll give me a little more... I'm looking at defenses now at this point. I think Jade Flask is pretty good. We already have a Granite Flask, which gives armor. So Jade. Remove burning, not interested. Reduce charges, okay. Shock immunity, no. Honestly, freeze immunity might be pretty good here. So let's just equip that. Hey. Okay, so that quest doesn't actually give you a passive point, it gives you a flask. I was not aware of that. I thought I was getting something cool. The flask is still good. Just saying, but like it's very helpful in this situation actually. Like, don't underrate it. Don't scoff at it, okay? It's still very good. Okay, what's my setup so far? Okay, interesting. I'm like trying to remember everything I did. Okay, so we're just gonna go on to the next zone then. So now I'm down to 1 life flask, 1 mana flask. Preferably, I would like to make it so that I don't need to... What the? How did he die? Huh? Oh, trigger Word of Winter when hit. Unleash an icy projectile that pulses with cold as it travels. It does quite a bit of damage, actually. 700. Not that much, but... Okay, it's like another Frostbolt, basically. I got confused because I was actually, you know, I was scratching my nose, and then that pack just randomly died. And I actually don't know why. Okay, cool. I thought we had like another cast when damage taken setup going, and I couldn't find it. Yeah, so let's go down to pick up more. We go down this way, and then we're gonna pick up more power charges, so essentially more damage, and then I have to go back and pick up more life. I think our life values are a little low. It really is. So like right now I can tell against something like these beasts, like just monsters that are a little bit more tanky, I don't perform as well as them against them, just because my damage values are lacking against bosses. I'm really hoping that in the future, when we get that return projectile support gem in the next league, you know, it's gonna feel a lot smoother. That's what I'm hoping for. Typically in the late game, it doesn't matter too much. I actually think in the late game in maps, the return projectile stuff won't matter too much, just because you get so much AoE coverage with your Ice Nova. In theory, you should be covering like almost the whole screen, right, with this skill, and you're gonna get more cast speed, which is gonna help as well. But right now, you know, the projectile is just getting too far away, and I have to recast it, and I get stunned while I'm casting this thing, and like basically I'm missing out on a lot of potential DPS. So if I could get this thing to return, and then I don't need to cast Frostbolt as often, right? And I think that would be kind of nice. This guy has creates voodoo doll. Okay, and mana seems to be a bit of a problem too. I don't have as much mana regen as I thought I did. Did I drop clarity? I think I did, huh? Okay, do I want to level cast 1 damage taken? Let me just keep it at level 1. Maybe in the future I'll change my mind. Did I drop clarity? No, I still have it. It's running? Okay. But it's just not leveled? Understood, understood. This is fine, I have enough mana. I have enough of a mana pool that I don't think I need to level clarity further. What's my mana regen? 55.9. So at some point we want to build the character out so that basically you don't need to worry about mana anymore. How would we go about doing that? Ethereal battery is one option. But like the idea is, you know, the way you build characters in this game is you really want to optimize all of the extra button clicking out of it. Which is kind of funny because in Path of Exile 2, you know, one of the selling points is that you can have like all these skills that you can put on rotation. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, it's like, yeah, you have all these skills in rotation that you could use, but like to truly min-max your character, you know, you want to optimize that out of the build so that all you're doing is casting your damage stuff. And like right now, for example, by the way, another trial in this zone, it's kind of similar to what it was like before, where it's like there's 1 in Act 6. So before we had like Act 1 and Act 1, 1 in Act 2, 1 in Act 3, right? Now there's 1 in Act 6, 2 in Act 7, and then from then on it's 1, 1, 1. 1 in Act 8, 1 in Act 9, 1 in Act 10. And we're talking trials. You only need 3 trials for the Cruel Lab, 3 trials for the Merciless Lab, so the second and the third lab, and then the last trial is found in maps, which we'll talk about at a later date. Honestly, by the time we get to maps, chances are we're going to be running a couple maps, and then we're going to be going straight into the next league. So we'll just test this build out in maps and just make sure everything works okay. Obviously what I want to test is like, can I play with like minimal gear? Because chances are we're not going to have good gear, you know, early on in the league. And we're probably going to need to make some purchases by the time we get into maps. So right now the economy is probably pretty dead, and I don't really expect to be able to buy anything, which is why I'm like, can we just get through this without, you know, without any gear? But I think once we get into the league itself, I'm probably going to need to buy some stuff. I don't need this. I still like my Will Clash though. Block spell damage, increase elemental damage, and you gain power charges all the time. That's kind of nice. Okay. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I feel like every episode I need like a few, you know, like 10-15 minutes to actually get the hang of this character, just because you need to get in a bit of a rhythm to actually cast the skills. You gotta cast Frostbolt, you know, and then you gotta spam Ice Nova pretty much, and then you gotta, once the Frostbolt travels past whoever it is you're trying to kill, you have to cast Frostbolt again. It is a bit of a 2-button combo, but it seems to be working pretty well. These gloves, mana, cold res. What about this? Mana, no res, but it's not linked. Okay. By the way, oh, sometimes you're gonna find items that are mirrored. So you might be asking, hey, what are mirrored items? And mirrored items are exactly what it looks like. Mirrored items is a copy of the original items. You can mirror white, blue, and yellow items. You cannot mirror unique items. And the only difference with a mirrored item is that it cannot be modified in any way. So this thing cannot be crafted on. It is what it is, right? So the reason why mirrored items dropped was because I think one of those rare mobs had a modifier on them that makes like all the items they drop get mirrored as well. And actually what's interesting about mirrors is that there's an item in the game called the Mirror of Calandra, and it is sort of like the ultimate chase item, the ultimate currency. If you get, it's like, if you get the item, it's like winning the lottery. And what it does is it copies an item. And the idea is you use one of these mirrors and you can copy any item in the game as long as you have another copy of it. So you would, like, somebody in Path of Exile, a crafter or a trader or somebody would craft, like, I don't know, the best sword in the game or in the league. And then you would pay them like a fee. Sometimes you can do it for free. You would give them your mirror and then they would make you a copy of this item, because you yourself you're probably never going to be able to craft this thing, right? And then they would spend an abysmal amount of currency to craft this thing, and then they make back the money that they craft with through these like mirror fees. So that's why mirrors are so good and so strong, mostly due to the fact that one second. Mostly due to the fact that you can like copy the best item in the game, right? Now some streamers, what they'll do is like at the end of the league, they'll craft like, we're gonna attempt to make the best gloves in the game, and then they'll let you mirror for free, and it's basically just content for them. But most people charge a fee, I think, from my understanding. Okay, this thing's kind of interesting. It has +1 to the level of all cold spell skill gems, and the reason why I'm eyeing this thing is it might be better than what we have in terms of wands. And the reason for that is the +1 is really strong. Spells scale off of skill gem levels. So I could be wrong, but I feel like, for example, our Ice Nova, the damage might go up if we equip this thing. Yeah, it goes up by a lot. It goes up by a lot. So purely based off of, obviously there's spell damage here, but these wands had flat spell damage, which was a lot too, and we even crafted increased spell damage onto it. But just equipping the +1 to all cold skill gems, you get 400 more DPS. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. So I'm thinking, yeah, this is an appropriate trade-off. Then we put Frostbite, Blasphemy onto this one. Frostbomb can go back here. And I'm not really using Frostbomb anymore, eh?
Go with courage.
I'm thinking about it, and I actually don't really use it anymore. And actually, I can go back to my crafting bench in the hideout and craft on this wand as well, right? And I can get a little bit more damage. Cold damage, like this. Is that the best thing I can get? Pretty much. Okay, just a little bit more cold damage, and now we're doing, wow, almost 10,000 damage with the frost bolts, and 8,000 with the Ice Nova. And these Ice Novas shotgun, so they overlap. When, like, if two Ice Novas overlap each other, they'll hit something twice. So it's essentially doing like 16,000 DPS. That's nice. That's very nice. Okay. Let's continue on. So typically in Act 7, you'll get to this area, which is the crossroads, which you'll actually see in Act 2 as well, right? And what you want to do is you want to go to the southern direction first for this quest, because what's going to happen is the northern direction, once you get to that area, the Chamber of Sins, the quest is going to tell you that you need to go to the crypt first in order to get this map quest item, which is what, this Malagaros map. And this map is basically like a practice run, a dry run of what endgame maps would look like. It's like, like a very basic version, because I'm pretty sure this quest item doesn't give you any mods. But yeah, like late game, Path of Exile, essentially it's like running dungeons with these maps. Um, although it's not like nightmare dungeons in Diablo 4, because you can do a lot more in the end game in Path of Exile. There's just, you know, they have a little bit, they have more features and more leaked content simply due to longevity. You know, they've been around for so much longer. Well, have they been around for longer than D4 at least? You know, D4 just came out. But yeah, like Path of Exile, you run these dungeons, and then these dungeons have their own passive tree on what kind of content drops for it. I'm actually really excited about that part, because they've released like a bunch of new keystone passives on the Atlas tree, which is sort of like the end game mapping system or dungeoning system, whatever you want to call it. I'm excited for that because they've released like 9 new keystones. So maybe there's like cooler content that we can try for the end game, you know, more farming methods, all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be super cool, I think. But yeah, so talking to Silk, and he would want you to put a map into the map device. And this is essentially how late game mapping works, is you have like this item, it's a map, you take the map, you put it into a map device, you activate it, and then 6 portals show up. And this is sort of, I guess, the unique part about maps, which is you only get 6 chances to bring back, to go into this map. So if you need to bring back gear or like TP home and sell stuff, you're going to use a portal. If you die and you need to go back into the map, you're going to use a portal. You only have 6 shots at this area. And the idea is, one, don't try to not die, right? Like in the campaign, I feel like some people, if they don't have a properly built character, you're probably gonna be like dying like 10-20 times to certain act bosses, and at the end you're gonna post to Reddit and it's like, hey, you know, maps are too hard because while I was running through a campaign, my character was kind of bad, and you know, in order to kill bosses, I basically just like ran up to the boss, you know, did like 1/50th damage to his HP, died, respawned, came back into the boss room, and I did that like 50 times for 20 minutes. And wow, it was super fun, but like now I'm in maps and I'm dying all the time. What's going on? Right? And it's like I can't get back into these maps. This game is like super hard anymore because you're only allowed to die 6 times essentially, right? If you don't need to go back to town to sell. So one, it's like 6 portals basically gives you limited chances to, it focuses on survival more, and this is why defenses are so important in this game. You can't, if you die more than 6 times, you're not going to be allowed back into this map, right? So you only have 6 shots, and if you're in a party, your party only has 6 portals. So if you die 3 times and then your party member dies 3 times, it's also over, right? So there's that, right? And also having 6 portals means you can't just pick up everything on this map, and every time your inventory is full, you go back to sell. It makes you think a little bit more about what's worth picking up and what's not worth picking up. Now, an experienced Path of Exile player, or maybe a jaded one, would tell you, well, at the end of the day, nothing's worth picking up. like rare items just are not good enough for you to pick up, and I don't think that's necessarily true, but there does come a point in the game where your character is just so juiced, and it could happen pretty quick, but your character is so juiced that it's not worth it to pick up anything because you can't find an upgrade. And then also, alternatively, your character is so juiced and you're so far into the league that all the other characters on the economy, they're like pretty good. So even though you're picking up rare items, nobody wants to buy your items because, you know, it's their items are too good too. So that could happen as well. But yeah, the game really makes you think about like what's worth picking up, what's not worth picking up. You know, instead of going back to sell, you know, maybe I just drop it. I look at the stats, identify it, and I go, you know what, this is not good enough to take home. And I feel like that's a good thing, right? I feel like that's a good thing, because if you pick up everything and sell everything, it just becomes way too tedious. Now the game itself, I feel like it does have a problem where it's like too many items are garbage, so you end up leaving a lot of things on the ground, and you know, it makes, in a way, it makes loot feel bad because you get a little bit of FOMO. It's like, well, should I be picking up everything? Because there's always the potential that something could be, you know, really good, and but at the same time, like, you're picking up all this stuff, 90% of the time it's not very good, and you're just like, I'm wasting my time doing this, right? I don't know if there's a good solution to it. I'm not a designer. I'm just pointing out that there is some valid criticism about the way the current loot is. At the same time, though, I feel like I always felt like the game was almost there. It's like, if there's a way where, well, there is a way, but I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but, you know, like, my opinion is maybe you want it to be like, you pick up an item and you notice that like 2 out of 6 mods are almost there, and you're like, I just need to do some stuff to this thing to make it usable. That in itself would make gear more interesting. And I what I'm saying might be a little confusing, but like, I pick up this dagger, I identify it, I look at it, and I'm like, the stats, you know, the fire damage is pretty good, but life per enemy killed, that's garbage. All the other mods are pretty good. If you're able to be like, okay, if I get 2 good mods and somehow that's enough, like, there's this concept of recombinators in this game where you can combine 2 items together, and, you know, there's a chance that you get the 2 good mods from one item and 2 good mods from the other item. That concept is pretty interesting, where you can merge items together and do that. Unfortunately, that has been removed to the game because it ended up becoming too easy. I don't know, but like, it ended up being too strong. But I don't know, it could be good though, right? Like, I feel like they maybe should bring that back into the game, recombinators. I didn't get to play too much with it. That was in what was called the Sentinel League. Everyone loved that league, mostly because I feel like the league mechanic just spat out currency everywhere, so it's just like easy currency as well. That's why everyone loved the league. But at the end of the day, it's like, a lot of people like recombinators, I guess, is sort of the moral of the story. And I don't know, maybe it should come back. It would make loot more interesting. I was just thinking about it the other day, and it's like, maybe it should. Okay, so now that we've given this thing to Sin, he's gonna give us, he gave us the key, right? Okay, so this will allow us to go into Chamber of Sins level 2. So that, I mean, that was basically a map. The general, you know, game loop of a map, and we're going into end game, even though we're talking end game, even though we're in Act 7. But the general concept of the end game is like, you run a map, you hope that other maps drop, and then you climb this thing called like the Atlas tree, which is like, as you run maps, you unlock bonuses, and the idea is you wanna run every map there is, in order to get all the bonuses. But yeah, like, you run the map and then you hope like a higher level map drops. It's like Nightmare Dungeons, right? Nightmare Dungeons are like level 1 to level 100, and you slowly climb. It's exactly like that, actually, because you get sigils, right? You get sigils in Nightmare Dungeons. It's basically like that. And then your sigils, you know, your maps have modifiers, some good, some bad. And the more bad modifiers, or the more modifiers in general there are, the more loot drops. So your rarity and quantity increases as there are more mods. And then you just kind of have to gauge, like, is this map too strong? Am I gonna die? Can I handle this map? If so, let's run it. And then that's essentially the end game loop. You get 6 portals, and then just go have fun, go start farming, right? Ooh, Vault Clarity. I mean, I don't really need it, but I can run it. No, let's not. Honestly, I don't benefit from it. I don't benefit enough from it, at least. I'm still looking for a Ball Ice Nova. That's like the one skill I'm really looking forward to. Where is this waypoint? It must be south.
When I'm ready and not before.
Oh crap, that's a dead end. Oh my god, we gotta walk all the way around. Let me just take the waypoint. This is... No, I refuse to do this. Chamber of Sins. And then we'll just go south. Yeah, we'll do it like this. Okay, there we go. So mana, I guess it's looking fine, but again, like I mentioned, we need to automate the mana out of this game. So like, I want to get to a point where I don't need to have a mana flask anymore, and I can just sustain my skills without having to worry about any of that. Right now, we're not fully there yet. But definitely that's what we should be doing. Okay, let's keep going. We're making steady progress. Act 7. I tend to be a little bit slower in Act 7 just because, you know, I probably played this game the most when there were only 4 acts. So I know the first 4 acts. I know the first 4 acts the best. The 5th act is kind of short anyway, so I tend to run that pretty fast. Just because there's less content. I think anybody would be able to run that thing fast because you're not doing as much in Act 5. But like Act 6, Act 7 onwards, I take quite a long time. So I'm hoping, I've never really timed myself. I'm hoping this act is also just like an hour. I don't know though. Could take longer. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Again, we have limited number of days left, so I will try and go a little bit faster. Whether I'll actually be successful at that, I don't know, because I'm actually terrible at speedrunning. And it's already like 11:20, and I'll be honest, I can't go too late. I just, it's old man syndrome. Okay, I'm like already feeling tired. Why don't you play earlier, Emnix? Well, the baby's still awake. So she goes to bed at, you know, 7:30. Today she went to bed at 8:30. And then you kind of just sit around and unwind for another hour. You do some chores. In my case, I had to go pick out a fridge actually for a renovation. And the next thing I know, it's like 10:30. And now I'm sleepy. Tomorrow, you know, you got shit happening too. Tomorrow we're going to the zoo. Oh no. My steel skin, I overleveled it. I overleveled it, didn't I? Okay, so I need to level cast when damage taken by 1, and then cast when damage taken, it supports skills level 40 and below. And now I just need to make sure next time steel skin levels up and cast when damage taken levels up, I don't level them up because they need to line up properly. So I just gotta keep that in mind. Oh my god, there's an Alva. Okay, this is another league mechanic, and I feel like Alva's a little complicated. I'm gonna try and give you like the 90-second primer. Okay. Basically, the lore behind it is that you can travel back in time, and it's like you're traveling back in time to kill Hitler kind of thing. Like there are 2 bosses in this room, and you can travel back in time and choose who to kill. And depending on who you kill, the other boss remains, and then they get to do whatever they want to this room, right? So in this case, like there's this trap workshop, there's two possibilities. You can either kill the boss at the bottom left corner, and if you kill him, it increases the room with increased monster pack size throughout the temple. If you complete 12 rooms, you get like this big temple that you can then run in the present.
Go make history.
Does that make sense? So like if we ignore the lore itself, where it's like you travel back in time, you kill the bosses, and then 12 rooms later you can go to the present and run what is called this temple. The mechanic itself is like, okay, if you kill the bottom left boss, like this guy here, this room becomes a room where the temple has increased monster pack size. If you kill the guy to the right side, monsters in the temple have increased AoE, and then it also adds traps to the temple. One other mechanic to mention is that, you know, notice how this arrow points up and this arrow kind of looks like a swap arrow, and the reason for that is doing this actually changes the room to something else, whereas doing this one, the up arrow, upgrades the room. So right now trap workshop is level 1, there's a little icon here. Doing the up arrow would level this thing to level 2. The highest a room can get to is level 3, and typically you want to get your rooms to level 3, right? So long story short, it's like you could, you know, pick and choose what kinds of rewards you want in your temple, but for the most part you want your rooms to be level 3, because that's where you get the best rewards. So what I tend to do early on is I just go for the top right boss. I just upgrade every room to level 3, and I try to connect every room. And you're gonna see what connecting every room means. But you know, you have this entrance, these rooms that are highlighted, they're connected. These rooms that are not highlighted, they're not connected to the entrance, and you want to connect as many of them to the entrance as you can. Okay, Apex of Azwaddle, that's like the final boss room, and the idea is you want to connect the boss room too. There's basically 3 or 4 rooms that are actually worth it for selling, I guess. For level 3 rooms, you want the Gem Cutter's Workshop to hit level 3 if you can, Corruption Chamber to hit level 3 if you can, and then I mean, like the Vault, you know, this place contains currency, it's pretty good, I guess. These two, the gems, the corruption, and then there's one that's like drops unique items, the Sacrifice Room or something like that. You want that to be level 3 if you can. Those 3 are probably the most important ones. I could be wrong, there could be more. Everything else, I don't know, try to make it level 3 if you can. If not, no harm, no foul. At the end, you get this temple at the end of 12 rooms or 12 incursions, and then you can just go run the temple. If you did manage to hit a level 3 room for any of these two, you could try and sell it if you have the ability to do so. It does sell for quite a lot, especially early on in the game. But we're not early on, like a month in, it sells for quite a lot. But I can kind of show you how we can do this content. So we enter it, you are timed, right? So you can see at the top there's a timer. As you kill more things, the timer goes up. So it's a bit of a stressful kind of encounter. If you can't do it fast enough, it feels kind of bad, to be honest. Do you get punished for not finishing it fast enough? A little bit. If you can't kill the boss in time, that's a problem. If you cannot, you know, unlock all the rooms in time, that could be a problem. Someone is messaging, like, I didn't clear that in time, so I can't even like unlock this room, right? So I was trying to connect this room, and you have to kill rare monsters for them to drop this stone key, and for you to open up these rooms. Couldn't get the key, and so like early on, if you don't have the damage, personally I feel like it's not worth doing, but you could try it. And then at the end of the day, you know, there are some rooms that are already unlocked. One sec, who's messaging?
Hello.
Yeah, there are some rooms that are already unlocked, and you can still run the temple. It doesn't hurt, honestly. You can just do it. It's if you just want to progress and you don't want to bother with it, that's fine too. But I think it's fine to just do it. For the most part though, yeah, just go to the top right, kill the boss, upgrade your rooms instead of switching it back and forth. Every time you switch it, so say you have a level 2 room already and you switch it, it goes back down to level 1. So personally, it's like not worth it to switch it. I could be wrong though. but that's sort of the way I'm playing it. Okay, so let's try and go a little faster with these. I don't have the clear speed for it. Let's just try. Because I want to see if we can maybe get a key.
When I'm ready and not
Okay, my wife is messaging saying she's hungry. Oh, there's a key, Stone of Passage. If you press V, you can see what rooms are available. So let's unlock this bottom right one. Okay.
good job.
Okay, good. So what's going to happen here then?
Greetings.
You can kind of see now the warehouse got upgraded because we killed the upgrade boss, and it's also connected to the entrance because we opened up the passage to the bottom right, right? That's basically it. We completed 10 incursions. Typically you get 3 incursions per zone. If you do 12, you get a temple. You can rent a temple in a map device. Yeah, and then everything's hunky-dory. Okay, wife says she's hungry. Let me reply to her real quick. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Wife wanted food options. And then she started talking itinerary on what we wanted to do tomorrow. Apparently we're going to the zoo, but we're also going to the splash pad, whatever that is. I'm assuming it's like one of those water park thingies.
Ready to revisit the past?
That could be fun.
The more you kill,
Upgrades one adjacent and connected room by 1 tier. So we could turn this chest room into tier 3. So this is like one of those times where maybe I'm down to switch because it would upgrade this thing to tier 3. Let's try doing that. Oh my god, everything hits hard. Okay, let's get this boss. There we go.
when I'm ready and not before.
Oh, we're so slow. This is the downside of not having movement speed. Oh, the timer came back up, thank god. Okay, good enough. Did it turn level 3?
Giving that room to Queep a
Oh, it didn't. I guess it happens at the end. Once you complete the temple. Okay, that's fine.
Life is short, dear.
Let's check this ring. Life. Fire res. I don't know. Hard to find a better ring. My resistance falls off too much if I replace this, right? Oh yeah, that's too much. Same here. We gotta get some resistance. I feel like I need to switch out this amulet somehow. Like a pure resistance amulet or something would be nice. Yeah. And the problem is because my helmet is sort of like... This is part of the reason why you're leveling up. You shouldn't run too many unique items. Unless it does give you like resistance. Basically, my helmet is like... It's like a blocker, right? There's no resistance on that thing. So I have to make up for it on my other pieces of gear. And you don't expect to have good gear early on. It is what it is though. It's fine. Okay, so we're coming down here for power charges. Okay, so here's a bit of a mini boss fight. Ow. I guess for now my damage is good enough that I can just cast Frostbolt without needing Frost Nova. The Ice Nova does a lot of damage though, actually. Yeah, you can see it. Ow, ow. Oh! Bleeding got me. I ran out of flash charges too. This is why return projectiles would be so nice, man. Because once it gets past him, I have to recast, and I don't know. I don't do enough damage, actually. And I forgot to get an anti-bleed flask. And then, like I said earlier, you know, flasks probably add a lot of defenses for you. And unfortunately... yeah, like even something like this would help. Moving while bleeding doesn't cause you to take extra damage. Let's take it. Okay, let's go back, sell some of this stuff.
My help is...
And really, I don't think I need to be selling too much stuff anymore, because I kind of have enough, right?
There's an S.
And like having to come back to town and sell all the time is kind of annoying. It's like taking too much time, you know? Okay, let's pick up all the quests. Okay, my wife says tempting but no McDonald's. Okay, I need to remember, if Steel Skin levels up, I don't level it up. I don't click that button that says level up. I gotta make sure I don't do it. At least on the console version, you can like automatically make it so it doesn't level. In the PC version, it just pops up on the right side, and I'm like, my muscle memory just tells me to click it. I don't even think about it. So just have to be a little careful. Let's see. Steel Skin is close to leveling up. Okay. So probably sometime in like this zone or the next, it's gonna start leveling. What shield did I get? Victario's Charity. Grant a it's a minion. It's a minion shield. Or like a party shield, I guess. Okay, bleeding again. Let's just not move while we're bleeding. Orb of Binding, that could be good. Maybe maybe new gloves wouldn't be so bad if I can find some. Like blue-green gloves or something. Preferably I would want to get some armor, but it's kind of hard to roll. How's this wand? Spell, fire, no, that's no good. Okay, so we need to go to Dread Thicket and collect all of these fireflies. And you can kind of see there's a quest marker on the minimap. Just go and pick up all the fireflies until lighting the way it doesn't say, you know, search the Dread Thicket for remaining fireflies. It's quite a few. It's like 7 fireflies or something like that. And then there's actually 2 quests in here. One being the Firefly and the other one being this optional Queen of Despair quest, where you have to kill Gruthcrow. It's optional, but I'm pretty sure you get a passive skill. Okay, don't level steel skin. Okay, I right clicked it and made sure to do that. So we're good now for our cast 1 damage taken in steel skin. Okay, so now lighting the way, it says deliver the fireflies to Yina. So that quest is completed. Now we just gotta look for this area, Den of Despair, and then we're gonna fight Gruthquill. I think against this guy we're gonna do a lot better because he's bigger, so more of them will get hit by Ice Nova. Let's take a look.
I need more mana.
Yeah, he's taking quite a bit of damage. I don't want him to charge at me though. So I want to fight him at distance. Okay, there we go.
Too much clutter.
Rothcroll.
Thus I release you from motherhood's rage.
Okay, so that's another minor god defeated. Additional physical damage reduction for each hit you've taken recently. That's not very good for us, so we're gonna go ahead and skip it. Or we're just not gonna pick it up. So right now for gods, I have Brine King, cannot be stunned if you have been stunned, or block the stunning hit in the past 2 seconds. And the other one is Soul of Ralakesh, reduce physical damage over time taken, moving while bleeding. Doesn't make you take more bleeding damage. So let's just pick that up. Victario's Charity, we're just gonna sell it real quick. This is gonna get sold. This can probably get sold too. Grace. Well, we have like a bunch of weirdo gems here. Let's just sell Grace. I don't need it.
Greetings. Journey well.
Okay, this can go in my stash.
You stay true to you.
Here's another skill point, and that's gonna give us our 5th power charge, which is pretty nice. Now we go back to the northern forest. You don't need to go back to the Dread Thicket because you are now going to basically run all the way north.
When I'm ready and not before.
So actually with this build, getting stunned is pretty annoying because then you can't cast your spells. I don't remember what this quest is exactly, but I know that there's something here. I don't think you get... I think you get like some armor. So I'm not going to bother going back to town for the quest rewards here. Not unless we need to go back next time. Ooh. That's probably worth going back to town for. So we got 3 6 sockets. And the interesting about 6 sockets is not that the fact that it actually has... Well, it is the fact that it has 6 sockets, but it's not to use. It's actually to sell. Because 6 sockets is actually a vendor recipe. Selling it gives you 7 jeweler orbs. So if you ever find 6 sockets, even though you're like, I'm not going to use this, you can just sell it. Now, one thing you don't want to get baited into doing is taking a 6 socket and thinking you're halfway there to a 6 link. A 6 socket is a lot more likely to drop than a 6 link. And like I said before, you need like 1500 fusings to 6 link something. You can get lucky, of course, but like you can kind of see throughout the course of this game, I have 2 orbs of fusing. I think I spent like 8 fusings doing something else. These things are pretty rare, so you don't want to waste your fusings like I did. Okay, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, dexterity and int. This is fire res. Global crit strike chance. Not what I need. I actually needed dexterity and strength. I actually picked up the wrong amulet there, but whatever. Okay. Okay. Looks pretty good. And now we are... Oh my god. We're at the 1 hour mark, and Oh, I took the TP earlier, huh? There's still quite a ways to go before we get to the act boss, unfortunately. But I guess we'll just have a bit of a longer episode. I do want to try and complete the act boss this episode, so if we can get this done, we'll be in Act 8, Act 8, Act 9, Act 10. 3 more acts in 5 days. I mean, it's doable. And then we have like 1 or 2 days to do maps. Probably just like 1 day. But hey, but at least that'll be like Act 1 to 10, right? I mean, so far our character, we're speccing into power charges. And the only reason I'm speccing into power charges is because we found that helmet. I think if I hadn't found that helmet, I probably would be speccing more into like probably crit or even cast speed for this character and more defenses, just like more life. But since we're getting power charges so easily, I might just do it like this, you know? And then actually, now that I think about it, if I could still spec into power charges, and instead I just grab the occultist node that gives me more power charges or something. Which one was it? Maybe that would be the first node I spec into. I think next time around, I'm not going to do Profane Bloom first. Forbidden Power might be interesting. Gain power charge after spending 200 mana. And then we can keep power charges going that way. And you also get +1 to maximum power charges. I actually think there's a lot of good nodes here. Void Beacon is good too. I think it's better. It's like better single target damage. Vile Bastion is better defenses. Both of these are pretty good. Forbidden Power is probably better later on, actually. I probably just wouldn't go into power charges if I didn't have this helmet. I'd probably just like get all the defensive stuff first and then pivot to the offense afterwards. And like, I'm assuming though, if I were to get Vile Bastion, is that what it's called? Void Beacon? Void Beacon. If I got Void Beacon first, where they just have negative or like less cold resistance, I could get away with doing less damage. Because that's a pretty strong passive. Can I flame dash over there? No. Okay, so I got my power charges. I should probably come down here. I can get cast speed, critical strike chance. Let's do that. There's more cold damage here too, but is it actually damage? No, it's not. It's a cold cluster. There's spell damage and AoE, which is actually kind of nice too. So maybe I come down here, I grab this. No, I grab the life, and then I'll come down here like this, grab more life, and I'll grab the aura nodes. Charisma. I'll grab that. Or I can go down here and grab these aura nodes. Go down like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to get down here this way. Whereas this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's only 2 points difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, if it's the same, I'd rather go down this way. And this way you get crit, you get life, you get the cast speed. And over here it's just like all stats. Oh, but I get to pass through more auras. Like the aura clusters are pretty good. And it's probably worth picking up. Is it worth 8%? It probably is. Okay, fine. I'll go down this way instead. This way. Okay, so here, honestly, let's just try and get to the boss room. I know I keep saying it. Let's try and rush it. Let's try and speed run it, but I keep forgetting to.
I need more mana.
Are a welcome moment. This one is captured. Line up.
Okay.
Up you go.
When I'm ready and not before.
The Frostbolt actually does enough damage where I don't need to be casting Ice Nova right now. I actually just have a lot of damage here. What's my critical strike chance? 14%. It's not very high. What about for Frostbolt? Critical strike chance. Or? Do I have controlled destruction on this? I do. Let's swap it out for something else. I don't really have anything else. I'll just slap Arcane Surge on here instead. Yeah, okay. That's actually better. And now I can actually get Arcane Surge, which is kind of nice. And I can also level Arcane Surge. That's huge. So really I could just run 4-link Frostbolt and I'll be okay as well, because it's doing enough damage. So maybe I'll just run Frostbolt for a bit exclusively until I actually need Ice Nova. I could also just run Ice Nova, but I think Frostbolt is better here. I think it's time to get some MTX on our Frostbolts as well, right? Do I have one? I think I do. Frostblink, Frostbolt. Oh yeah, let's get the black balls. There we go. Oh, I feel like these look kind of... These look cooler. Get like these cool water effects. Okay, Temp of Decay. I don't think I'm the kind of person that's like, I cannot play this game without microtransactions and skins on my skills, but I always do feel like, aside from stash tabs, right? Obviously you want to have enough stash tabs on your character. If I did have to spend money, I would much rather spend it on skill effects than like skins for my character. I don't know why. I feel like skill effects are actually really cool in this game. Just being able to change like the way the default skill looks. You know, some skills are very pretty, but overall I feel like the skins make these skills look better. Or the skill effects, I mean. Okay. Oh my god, everything leveled. That felt really good. It's a super ding. Oh, what's hitting me? That really hurt.
When I'm ready.
I feel like this is the boss room. No? Am I still not there yet? I'm like close. I'm super close. Temple of Decay level 2. More Alva. We're gonna go ahead and skip that. So how many boss or how many league mechanics have we talked about so far? We saw Abyss. We countered Abyss. We countered Alva today, which is Incursion. We saw Strongbox, which was Ambush. We saw Essences. We saw Delve. We saw Bestiary. We saw... There's so much league content in this game, man. What else did we see? Alva. Is that it so far? There's like a lot more left. Which way do I go? This way? What?
Just in time.
We saw Heist. There was Heist.
Too much clutter.
Trying to remember now. Man, these wands are no good. They're just no good. Obviously there's Crucible, but that's not in the base game. I think that's it. I think that's everything. But there's still a lot more. There's still Betrayal. There's still I guess Betrayal's the big one. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh, we saw Delirium. That's right, there was Delirium. There's still Expedition to see. We did not see that yet, I don't think. Oh, there it is, there it is. I see the room, how do I get there? I see the stone. That was a bit of a Harry Potter reference for all the Potterheads.
When I'm ready, I'm not.
Is Harry Potter still a thing? Like, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Harry Potter. I still am, I suppose. Like, if they ended up... actually, maybe not. I was gonna say, if they end up releasing another Harry Potter movie, like, 100% I'll go see it. But I don't think that's true, because all of those, what was it? Fantastic Beasts? Like, I've never seen... I think I saw the first one, and I'd never watched any other one. They were just so bad. So I guess maybe I'm not that big of a Potterhead anymore. When I was a kid, I freaking loved it. You know, when the books came out, I'd like... You turn off MSN Messenger so that nobody messages you. You basically like stay off the internet for a day or two, and then like I would just like this... like read through the entire book in like a day or two. It was great. Do you want to apply? Yes, I want to apply. Let's get more life. My wife is the same. She even read like the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, like the play. Apparently it was garbage. But you know, but now there isn't as much Harry Potter stuff going on. There is a Harry Potter TV series coming out. I'm actually kind of excited for it. Like, I kind of do want to watch it. Right? Like, HBO is releasing the Harry Potter TV series. it's gonna run what, 10 seasons for 10 years? It's like Path of Exile. I remember back in the day, like Path of Exile said, like our goal is to like have this game run for like 10 years. We'll support it for like at least 10 years. And we'll hope it'll still be alive and then, and we'll still be releasing content. And like, thankfully that came true, right? 10 years later, they're still releasing content for this game. And it's been great. You know, there were hits and misses. There's been good, there's been bad, but for the most part, I'm having a good time with this game, man. This base game is in like a good state. Even if like League content, maybe like Crucible League was kind of questionable, just because it was kind of hard for me to get. Crucible League was one of those weird leagues where you had to invest a good amount of time, and then the mechanics were kind of like, they were a little complicated if you wanted to get deep into it, and I couldn't understand it. But I think if you had actually committed your time to Crucible, you were rewarded for it. But like to me, it was just like, it was a weird league. Yeah, here's the Act Boss. How's our damage? It seems pretty good. Yeah, seems pretty good. Look at that. We're really just like, we're chunking him. Dude, this guy got wrecked. Did you see that? Did you see how he got wrecked?
I need more mana.
Oh, he's still alive. I thought he was dead. Alright, we got him.
Too much clutter.
Let's see what's interesting here.
The true climax of perverted lust.
Boost, or boots. This might be interesting. This might be interesting. That's not very interesting. Nothing good.
Many an art.
So, I don't know if you guys are following the story so far, but this dude Silk tried to fuck the spider or something like that. And it just got really weird, which is why sin is like death is the true climax of perverted lust. Look, if I don't want to get into it, but if you're curious, maybe in this act pay attention to the story. It just got really weird. I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, is he trying to get with the spider? He's trying to get with the spider. That was Act 7, folks. That was Act 7. So we just beat the boss. Tomorrow, I guess we'll try for Act 8. We're Act 8, Act 9, Act 10. We are pretty close. We're 3 or 4 hours away from completing. I'm gonna put all this currency away just so I can hold a little bit more. We're probably 3 or 4 hours away from completing the rest of the campaign, and then we can do a little bit of maps, and we can see how our character fares in those scenarios. I gotta go to sleep. It's 12 a.m. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more updates in the future. Otherwise, keep in touch, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.